Britain has the youngest army in Europe, and Penny Marshall has been following a group of boys and girls through their year of army training to find out what happens to Britain's teenagers who sign up at 16. Today, the junior soldiers start to learn about the realities of war.
Ready? Ready. Safety catch, change lever, sight, cock the weapon, forward assist.
I've been following the training process of some of the British Army's youngest recruits, those who signed up at 16. They're undertaking their training here at the Army Foundation College in Harrogate. Now they've completed their first 6 weeks and have passed from civilian to military personnel, they're beginning to learn a little more about the realities of the job they've signed up to do.
5 quick exposures, followed by 1 long exposure. Watch and shoot! Watch and shoot!
In this programme, I'll be following the junior soldiers of 7 Platoon Cambrai Company as they go through what they call their realities of war training. And I'll be asking, just how easy is it for a 16-year-old to truly grasp the realities of war?
People say to me, don't go in the army, you'll get shot. And I just think that's just a stupid thing to say, really, ain't it? Because out of all the thousands of soldiers, how many people get killed? But that don't bother me. If you get killed, you get killed. That's how I think of it. You ain't going to know nothing different.
It's like a grey area. You obviously don't know what the dangers are, but yet you want to go and do it. You'll never know what it's like until you've done it. But definitely something that I want to do.
What I admire about the young people coming into the Army Foundation College today is they see the programmes on Afghanistan, they see the programmes on our wounded soldiers, and they've still got the courage to walk through the door and to accept what's coming to them and start their career with what they're going to be doing in a few years.
Okay, gents, let's get you on the firing point then. Get your kits on, ready to go.
Hey, get your helmet on.
Hurry up. Okay, so it is 3 sections you haven't fired. Okay, get yourselves dressed up here, gents, ready for ammunition. Just get rid of your day sacks in a nice, neat line there, please.
It's a freezing cold February day, and the junior soldiers are now in their 20th week of training. Today they're firing live rounds on their standard issue SA-80 rifles.
3 sections you haven't fired.
Their commander is Captain Will Sutton.
Get yourselves dressed up here, gents, ready for ammunition. Just get rid of your day sacks in a nice, neat line there, please.
Today we're actually running through Live Fire 9, which is one of the range packages we run, and they fire from a variety of positions, from prone, i.e. lying flat, right through to standing, and a couple of others as well, from 50 metres, 100, 200, right through to 300 metres. And it's basically just practising their accuracy so they can be the best shot that they can be.
The junior soldiers at the Army Foundation College start rifle training in their first week.
Listen in there, prone position down.
Prone position. I love ranges, actually. Why I joined the army, to fire rifles.
Dean Pickles is 16 and from Bradford. He's wanted to join the army ever since he was a small boy.
I personally feel it's like a really a powerful feeling, but it might be different for other people.
Where do you see yourself going? What regiment are you joining, and what sort of soldiering will it involve?
I really want to do commando training, but I'm tossed up because my brother's in a regiment as well, 3rd Royal Horse Artillery, and I want to join that and to go and tour with him because I go on tour in March. I'm going to Afghan. I think it's his last tour because he's getting out after that. He said he wants me to go on tour with him, and then I was thinking going to the RHA, do the tour with them, and then go for 2-9 Commando, which is what I really want to do.
Do you want to go to Afghanistan badly because you want to prove yourself as a soldier? You want to be on the front line? Is that the point?
What you train for. It is what you train for. That's why you do all the training. But yeah, definitely want to go.
But you don't want to risk your life, though, do you?
Well, I've signed it, so yeah, guess so.
How often do you think about what that really means?
Never. You don't really think about it, to be honest. You just think it's your job at the end of the day. Obviously, it'll be different when you do go over there. It will be different, but I've never really thought about it, to be honest.
But that gets right to the core of soldiering.
Yeah.
Risking your life.
And again, everyone dies someday, so.
But not at 18 or 19 in Helmand.
Yeah, but It's for the right cause. Doing something for your country, I guess. The training would be wasted if you didn't go on tour. So I guess it is just part of being in the army. When you're willing to sacrifice your life for the greater good.
Oh yeah, take the trolley.
Okay, you'll need 2 more. Take,
We take Hunter because she's funny.
Back home when you don't have many qualifications, what's the furthest you're going to get? McDonald's or something? I want to do better than that.
17-year-old Jade Hunter's from Northern Ireland.
People look up to you if you're like in the army. They look at you with respect, and like I want to be like recognised like properly and do something good for myself.
One section. If you've got any ammunition left over, get it in here.
In Northern Ireland, there's a lot of like IRA attacks everywhere, and like it's near your door, closer than you ever think. You don't know who you're speaking to some days. At the end of the day, when I signed up, I done it for myself. I didn't really tell many people. My mum made up a story like I was going to my granny's to work over here, like work experience on like a tourist board or something. So that story sort of sticks well because I was at Tech for a full year. It'll only be very close friends that I will actually tell.
Do you think about going to Afghanistan at all?
It's your job at the end of the day. If you weren't interested in it, you wouldn't have signed your name. I haven't been to Afghanistan, of course I don't know what's going to happen, but you're learning loads about it, and like you learn from like captains and corporals and everybody that has been out. They're telling you experiences, and all you can do is look forward to your experience. You don't know what's going to happen, so you just have to look forward to it.
Live rounds, blank rounds, pyrotechnics in my possession.
Pyrotechnics in my possession, sir.
I have no live rounds or empty cases in my possession.
I have no live rounds or empty cases in my possession.
However, on return to camp, if you do find any live rounds or empty cases, hand them in to a responsible NCO and nothing further will be said. Happy?
Yes, Corporal.
At the end of the session, Corporal Nathan Cole has to check the junior soldiers have no live rounds with them before they leave the ranges.
Obviously mistakes do happen, and now and again you do end up with the odd case which they've obviously missed. Obviously it's better to make sure that they know they can approach you, to hand it in, than to just discard it when they're not supposed to.
Okay, yeah, get away. Right.
You think your weapon before yourself, so it's your weapon, your kit, and then yourself. So your weapon's like the most main thing, like out of everything. So like, you don't want to take the mick with it and just mess around like, yeah, I've got a rifle. Like you got it, it's like a proper serious thing, it can kill people, like, so.
When I first met Trey Barrett, he was full of enthusiasm and he told me he couldn't wait to fire his rifle. Now that time's come, I wondered how he's finding the reality of army life.
When you think of joining the army, you think of like going on tour and that, but you don't think of all the things that you have to go through. Like, I thought, yeah, when I go in I'll be shooting at targets and that, but then I didn't think of cleaning rifles for like 5 hours straight and just everything else. It's not what I expected at all. You're told when you can eat, told when you can sleep, told when you can go toilet. I'm just missing being my own person.
Trey stuck it out for only a few more months, but finally quit 3/4 of the way through. We caught up with him just as he was being discharged to ask him why he'd decided to go.
At the start, when I first came, I said because I was like bad before I came in here, like ill-disciplined and that, and then I came here and then I just started taking orders off everyone and people screaming at me and that, but because I wasn't used to it, I used to like backchat a little bit and that, and then it gave me a name for myself, like, he loves backchatting and all that, like, you know what I mean? So that's put a big impact on training because they still think I'm the same as when I started.
That's a shame, actually, because I think we worked quite hard to keep Barrett.
7 Platoon Commander Captain Will Sutton.
He's a bright lad and he had ability, but he was always a bit still, probably immaturity was the thing with him. He was just a teenager who I think just wanted to go out and have a laugh with his mates as well. And so up at 6 a.m. every morning, you know, just getting inspected in your room, you know, didn't always work with him. He found it hard to settle into army life. And, you know, I remember saying, think about your career, think about the prospects, give it a little bit longer. And he did, you know, to be fair. He stayed for 2 full terms, and so he really did try the army out as a career. You know, he's given it a real strong go, but he's just decided at his age right now, it's not for him.
I'm going to go to college and finish my ICT diploma, so I'll get my level 3, and then just see where that gets me.
Over the course of their training, we've seen 15 teenagers now drop out of 7 Platoon. That's 1 in 4. The Army expects and accepts this wastage because recruits this young are likely to change their minds. And even though the Army is making cuts, the junior entries ring-fenced because they need these troops to replenish the ranks. Junior soldiers are considered vital for the Army's future. But dropouts can have an impact on those left behind.
Platoon gets a bit down once somebody's left, especially if they're like a strong character, because they're not there anymore. But after a few weeks, you sort of get used to it and the fact that they've left, and you sort of carry on and adapt to the situation and just get on with it, really.
Junior soldier Tom Cook is 16 from Worcestershire. He's sorry some of his friends have left, and he's had a wobble of his own.
January, it was the first time we'd had 2 weeks off, and obviously it was after Christmas and stuff as well. So yeah, I think January was probably the time when I was the most down I was then. I really did feel like I wanted to be back home. I kept it to myself. I didn't want to tell the corporals or your mates and stuff like that, because it's not that they'll think you're weak or anything, it's just that you don't want them to think that you're like any weaker than they are. And if my point was, if they can do it, then surely I can do it as well. And I had a couple of conversations with my parents as well, and they were really supportive and said, just carry on, take one day at a time and see how it goes. And I'm still here, so hopefully it's going all right.
Right, let's just finish this off then. There's a company photograph, right, on the bridge.
Under the bridge.
You know where it is. Again, that's about 500 metres away from us. So, like that.
Same one.
The recruits we're following are now nearly halfway into their training. And although to me the college often seems more school than army base, some of the realities of what lies ahead are starting to surface. The college staff, temporarily stationed here, know the realities of war, even if the recruits have yet to learn them. And today Captain Will Sutton's thoughts are with his colleagues, 3rd Battalion, the Yorkshire Regiment.
It's a strange situation for me because my battalion's deploying to Afghanistan in February, but I won't be going because I'm here with this platoon, so it'll feel a bit difficult really, because seeing them deploy without me, it'll be a strange feeling. I mean, it's easy for me, safe really, I'll be in the Army Foundation College here, and a lot of people I know will be deploying to Afghanistan, and it'd be a bit frustrating because it would have been a real challenge, and I would have probably loved it going a second time, but I'll be here with 7th Platoon training them, building them up for the soldiers passing out from here.
The 6 soldiers killed in Afghanistan are named victims of the deadliest single attack on British troops since 2001. 5 of them were 21 or under. They'd been in Helmand for less than a month.
In March 2012, tragedy struck Captain Sutton's regiment, just 3 weeks into their deployment.
Brothers in Arms, a tribute from members of the Yorkshire Regiment as the families of the men talk of their grief.
As their commanding officer of this very tight-knit family regiment, I would like to take this opportunity to pay tribute to my incredibly brave men and to offer my deepest condolences to their families and to their many friends. But as their brothers in arms, we remain committed in our duty to continue with our mission. They would want nothing less.
One of the young soldiers who was killed had joined up at 16 and been trained at the Army Foundation College. So how has the news of these young deaths hit Captain Sutton and the junior soldiers in 7th Platoon?
I suppose it all serves as a sobering reminder of what you sign up to, and clearly, for most that, that will not be the case, but it just reminds you how much the army can potentially ask of you. Obviously, make the ultimate sacrifice.
It is, terrible that these things happen, and it is quite an impact on morale, especially when you have people that have connections with them.
It makes you sort of think you don't want to go to that sort of place because they are so young, and they've only come out of places like here about a year ago, and that's sad. But we just have to keep going as it is now because we're not out there.
Move to the right, freeze. Right, turn. By the left, quick, march. Left, right, left, right, left, right.
35 junior soldiers from the Army Foundation College have been killed in Afghanistan since operations began there 11 years ago. Many of them have been infantrymen. And because about 2 out of 3 of the recruits here go on to join the infantry, the college tries to prepare them for the risks ahead.
We have a wall of remembrance which reminds us of those people who have served and come through the college, which unfortunately, they have died on operation, certainly. And we're trying to remember that and make the junior soldiers aware that there has been some people who have served well the country, who were junior soldiers here or indeed permanent staff as well.
In the college chapel, I met Padre Benjamin Abeledo, the lead chaplain here. He sees his role as central to the troops' moral and ethical development.
Some of these boys and girls, they do come from all sorts of backgrounds, and if the truth be told, many of them do come from very dysfunctional families, where they have maybe single parents, and sometimes they have relationship problems. Maybe they have been brought up by their grandparents. So that sort of kind of issues, are very much part of some of the problems. And then relationship, life skills, they suffer bereavement, loss, they struggle with stress, the pressures of life. And sometimes, they just need to have someone to talk to in confidentiality, which is outside the chain of command. But clearly, we advise them and we help them along, and trying to do the best for them, really.
You spent the first half of your career in operations.
I have.
And you've come here in part for a break from it. How far removed do you think these boys and girls are really from the reality of war at this stage in their lives?
I think they are better informed now, because certainly Iraq and Afghanistan has brought to everybody's minds and awareness through the media, the television reports, programs of what is going on out there. Sadly, every time that a soldier dies in theatre, clearly the news reports that. So they're very conscious of what they're coming into. I think it's just a case of trying to bring a sense of balance between the dangers in theatre and how to deal with the challenges of being a soldier, and a good soldier at that. So the junior soldiers here, they will be taught about all sorts of issues, how to be a good soldier, a good person. What happens in theatre is for another day, but nevertheless we remind them that they are dangerous, and this is a very dangerous profession that they are chosen to do. Nevertheless, we need to balance that it doesn't mean that it's a sentence of death, really. It's not like that. But I think the junior soldiers are aware, that the army is a dangerous profession.
And things like that. Well, just a brief history of the Imperial War Museum. In 1917, it was decided that a National Army Museum would be set up to house some of the guns and other memorabilia from the war which was still being fought.
The reality of war training takes place halfway through the year, and it consists of 3 days designed to give the recruits a greater understanding of what war could mean for them.
I'd like you to just go upstairs. There's the Lord Ashcroft Gallery. I think it's the largest single collection of Victoria Crosses, approximately 150 or something in that region. Just go up, have a 15-minute walk around there. Everyone just pick out one, have a bit of a read of it, and maybe I'll just ask you later, all right?
This is the Imperial War Museum in London, and it's swarming with young men and women in khaki, as well as the usual contingent of school kids with their clipboards. And all around them, they're dwarfed really by enormous aeroplanes hanging from the ceiling, former Spitfire, a tank on the ground. So they're surrounded by the relics and the glories of war. And they've spent a lot of time up in the VC room looking at the heroes and thinking about what sort of soldiers they want to become.
Some of the stories were unbelievable.
Junior soldier Dean Pickles.
A soldier who was in the Gurkha Rifles, I think the 5th Regiment. He assaulted 3 positions and he took out the machine gun post. He did it all by himself, and that was quite amazing. So that made me think he was quite brave, and he definitely deserved that medal. Quite exceptional.
Okay, gather in then, ladies and gents. Just a quick couple of minutes then, just to talk about what you've seen there. A couple of people who've won a Victoria Cross plus a bar, i.e. they've won 2 Victoria Crosses. You imagine how hard that is to do, all right?
Captain Sutton, this part of the training is called the realities of war, but really this museum celebrates exceptional men and women of war. It's not the normal, though, is it? It's the ideal. What can they learn about the realities, which are often horrific on a battlefield, from somewhere like this?
Yeah, I think, the Army always works off role models. We as staff are always taught to be the role models for these young soldiers. But of course, there's the ideal, there's the glory of having a Victoria Cross, perhaps. But of course, the day-to-day life of a soldier is dirty, hard and tiring. They all know what that's about. So, they're certainly aware of how tough the job is. And then coming here today, sort of developing the cerebral side a bit more, the character, seeing what people have had to sacrifice in previous generations, previous conflicts. It's all about instilling in them that drive and that desire to be a good soldier.
Okay, on the second floor above this, there's some actual boats that came back from Dunkirk, the boats that were there and brought the soldiers back. I think
Second Lieutenant Nicole Britton is a military education officer. She's helped organise the junior soldiers' visit to the Imperial War Museum today.
A lot of young people, when they join the army, they're excited by the kind of war porn that they see, and I think it's vitally important to remind them what institution they're joining, our history and what might happen. They need to be made aware of it at this stage while we still can. It's a massive responsibility they're taking on, and we're just making sure they're fully briefed and prepared for their career, which hopefully will end well, but it's a reality of war.
The guys that were killed, Steve, Matt and Crooksy, if they were just remembered a little bit more than that.
This is what we call the Allies section down here. Czechoslovakian, Polish and Belgium. Behind you we have French casualties. 3 different types of headstones out there.
The final leg of the Junior Soldiers' Realities of War tour is to Britain's largest Commonwealth War cemetery at Brookwood. It contains graves from both World Wars I and II, as well as more recent conflicts. There are soldiers here who died in Afghanistan as recently as 2011. Second Lieutenant Nicole Britton again.
This is the last place they're going, so they've seen kind of all the guns, they've seen the war stories, the VCs and the general history of the army, and now we've come to a cemetery, which is obviously very solemn. It's an English country garden, it's very nice and relaxing, but it's a period of reflection for them more than anything. You see it on the news every day, another soldier died in Afghanistan, and it's not until you actually stand over his grave and hear about his life and his family that he left behind that it does make you realise that this is a tough job and not anyone can do it.
These are more recent burials in this section, as you can see by the date on here. Read the inscriptions.
11th of August 2007. He was 26. A fine soldier and a fine son, a brother, but above all, a fine man.
As the junior soldiers move amongst the headstones, Matt Green has spotted something which upsets him.
It's just a regiment I want to go to, a battalion as well. It's just weird seeing someone from the same battalion at the tombstone. It's just hard to think. If I was there, could have been new.
I think for their age group, you'd be surprised at how they can come into their own, because they are just 16, 17-year-old people that often join the army to evade education. And, in all seriousness, once they have got the Queen's uniform on, they change into respectable soldiers.
I always say to each group, think about what you'd like on your headstone. We have some that are quite poignant. On the Canadian section, top end, one guy says, it says on the base of his headstone, "I did not expect to die, do you?" So think of what you'd like on your stone if it happened, okay?
It's a bit eerie, but it does slam it home. But it's nice to see that actually, if something does happen, at least you come to a place like this where you actually. I'm not sure it's difficult to say, but yeah, it's nice to know that if anything does happen to you, you'd be sort of well looked after in a way.
This was the first time Jade Hunter, usually a bubbly chatterbox, was lost for words. Later she explained why.
It had a big effect on you because, I don't know, something just came over you where you just didn't want to speak. You felt like you were mourning for them. You were thinking, I wonder what they were doing at the time when they died or where they were at. So I just didn't want to speak that day. It was sad, because it could be one of your friends someday.
Padre Chris Grucock ends the Junior Soldiers Realities of War tour with a short service of remembrance.
We're bringing you here to remind you, I guess, that the realities of war are, without doubt, life-ending and life-changing for lots of people. Something of what this place is about has something to say to what you're about as new soldiers, as new people just starting out on this journey.
The service that we hold here in the cemetery is always done at the very end of the Realities of War event. And it's to put it all into a context, really, I think. You know, the Realities of War is something quite shocking when you're only 16 or 17. But actually recognising the fact that people do die and have their lives completely changed by war. And I think to put that into the context of a remembrance ceremony, it's poignant, but it's inspiring as well. We don't want to scare them into thinking, you know, I'm going to die if I go to war. It's not about that, but it is about recognising that in the midst of what we're called to do, some people do make that ultimate, that supreme sacrifice.
Because we are today what we are, because of people that went before us.
The final address to the troops comes from Major Steve Wall of Cambrai Company.
I hope that none of you will be remembering in years to come. But all of us are very different to society. We are trained to kill, and we accept that one day we might lay down our life so that others may enjoy the freedom we have. That is the nature of our profession. And that, I hope, is what the last 2 days has shown you. And we've looked back in history. You will be part of history in years to come.
It's been an emotional 3 days for the junior soldiers of 7 Platoon, as they've been confronted with some of the harsh truths about warfare. Yet I still wonder if 16-year-olds can ever understand what war means, or what death means for that matter, until they confront it for themselves. But as a hardened soldier who's served his own tours of duty, Corporal Cole believes that, bar the battlefield, this is as good a place to start as any.
You don't really understand until you come to a place like this to realise what price is actually paid, and they don't really understand that until they come here. You can do all the training you like. Obviously, the reality is, at the end of the day, is what you see here in the cemetery itself. That, you know, one day you will be asked to do the ultimate, and that's it, really.
Next week, the junior soldiers prepare to graduate from the Army Foundation College and start their new Army careers. And for some, the front line in Afghanistan is a matter of months away. The programme was presented by Penny Marshall and produced by Melissa Fitzgerald. It was a Blakeway production for BBC Radio 4. In a moment here on Radio 4, there's comedy around one of life's essentials, the to-do list. Without Kerry's list, the life of the stand-up comedian and mother of two would simply fall apart, and I certainly know that feeling. But what about Julian Warwicker, who's presenting today's You and Yours? Morning.
Mairead, good morning. Can I restrict my to-do list to what's after midday? More than $1 billion. That's what the internet giant Yahoo is prepared to pay to buy the blogging service Tumblr. But why do such huge sums change hands in what is a notoriously precarious area? And if you use Tumblr, what will change? Also today, touts and the proms, are they a bigger problem this year? Calls for a new approach to looking after older people away from residential care homes. And is the choice of talking therapies via the NHS narrowing? Plus, brand names when a shop is called something uncannily similar to the name of a much bigger enterprise. Is that either lucrative or legal? Part of the list after midday.
Thanks, Julian. We'll see you